it hurts. You know, it hurts a lot. When you feel like you're being displaced and taken away from some place where the bones of your ancestors rest all around you, it's real difficult. The tribe now only possesses a few rights that we've retained. They're very important. Hunting and fishing rights, water rights, those are the only things that, as a Klamath Modoc person, I inherited. The land was already gone. If we were to lose those few things that we have left, you know, I think it would be maybe a blow that we may not be able to recover from. Maybe the tribes would just blow away to the four directions. We had this generation or two that carried a tremendous amount of guilt, because I think they feel they let down their generations to come. They started turning to alcohol and later on drugs to try to forget, to try to cover up that pain, that sadness, that anger. It seemed like growing up, you know, I was going to a funeral every other week. We were burying people left and right. You know, our cemeteries filled up all over the reservation. We kind of sat back and watched what it was doing to our parents and our grandparents, and then eventually what it did to us as well. It kind of created a need to understand, a need to understand what caused all of this. Why did all of this happen? And maybe more importantly, how can we fix something? How can we make something out of all of this tragedy, all of this mess here, something that could pull a community back together again, that can give the generations that were growing up something to feel good about. We had a couple events that happened. 2001, when the water got shut off to the irrigators, and 2002 when all the fish died, when the pendulum swung back the other direction. It unleashed a flurry of anger in the community, of hate, of crime on a level where the communities were just lashing out at each other and almost felt like we were on the brink of open warfare. We had people that were going into each other's communities and wreaking havoc with each other. You know, it could be a nail in a coffin. I mean, it's clear that we're the minority in this community, and with what they've already done to us, you know, they could maybe take away what little we have left. When people feel threatened and they feel like their livelihood is, their way of life is in peril, then their survival instincts start kicking in. And that gets scary, because people do extreme things when they get to that place. They take extreme actions when they get to that place. For the first 3 decades of the water issues here in the Klamath Basin, my relationship with my neighbors was limited to seeing each other in a courtroom. I never took time to really meet them. as a leader of this tribe, I was fighting to protect our interests, but I didn't really know these people in the sense of knowing a person like I would know some other people in my tribe. We always fear the unknown. It doesn't matter who you are, red, white, yellow, black. People have to get to a basic level of understanding to deal with that initial fear they have of not knowing. And I think that's what really needed to happen here. We had to deal with that fear of each other. We had to go back and deal with a lot of the past in some ways, the events and misunderstandings that we had felt about each other, and recognize that maybe our perceptions of each other weren't built on fact, that maybe it was more fiction. Once we started creating that better understanding and started tearing away the bullshit from what was really real, then you could look at each other in the eye and then start talking as people to each other and understanding what's important. We had to establish that basic relationship. We had to get to know, who each other really is, what drives you, what makes you who you are, how you look at this world. Those were the things that had to happen. They had to happen. Have they totally happened completely yet? Not entirely. I mean, the leadership has been able to do that. The communities are starting to move in that direction, but we haven't embraced it yet. And I think that happens with time. The community as a whole, is at a real turning point where they have to recognize that none of us are going anywhere. We have to figure out how we're going to finally get along with each other if we're going to survive.